Look, we all know how brutal it is just to make it to the pros. You're talking about a fraction of a percent, the endless training, the insane sacrifices, and let's be honest, a massive stroke of luck just to get a cup of coffee in one major league game. But then, there are the anomalies, the genetic lottery winners, guys so ridiculously gifted that two entirely different multi-billion-dollar sports leagues looked at them and said, yeah, we need to hand that kid a bag immediately. Now, when you think of dual sport athletes, your mind probably goes straight to the icons who actually suited up and played both. We love those guys, but what's wild is that some of the absolute greatest names in NFL history were actually drafted to swing a bat before they even threw, caught, or rushed for a single touchdown in the league. Today, we're breaking down the top 5 mind-blowing NFL players who were drafted by both the MLB and the NFL. And stick around because the number one on this list, honestly, the guy didn't even feel human. And just because I'm a nice guy, I'm giving you 3 honorable mentions. And sorry for my lame joke about being a nice guy. Now let's get into this. Kicking things off at number 5, we have a guy who is currently busy rewriting the NFL record books. But his origin story? It actually belongs to the Major League Baseball. Yeah, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you know his background, this makes total sense. It runs in his blood. His dad, Pat Mahomes, was an MLB pitcher for over a decade. So Patrick literally grew up in the big league clubhouses, developing an absolute rocket for an arm that had scouts drooling from day one. Now, come back in time with me. 2014 MLB draft. The Detroit Tigers take Mahomes in the 37th round right out of high school. Not a big deal, right? Now, here's the catch. The only reason why he didn't go in the first round is because everybody and their mother knew he was already committed to play football at Texas Tech. But the Tigers took a flyer on him anyway, basically praying they could convince him to trade the football helmet for a glove. Just pause for a second and imagine an alternate timeline where Mahomes is closing out games in the bottom of the ninth, instead of orchestrating historic fourth quarter comebacks on Sunday nights. But hey, next time you see him throw one of those ridiculous no-look sidearm passes across his body, that is pure baseball muscle memory breaking the NFL in real time. Next up at number 4 is a modern marvel who pulled off an athletic flex so rare we honestly might never see it happen again. Kyler Murray. See, most of the football players who get picked in the baseball draft are late round flyers. Teams taking a gamble, right? Not Kyler. In 2018, the Oakland Athletics didn't just draft him. They used the 9th overall pick on him. They cut him a check for $4.66 million and, in a wild move, gave him permission to go back and play one final season of college football at Oklahoma. And once again, that was a massive mistake by the A's front office. Because Kyler didn't just play, he went out there and won the Heisman Trophy, absolutely lit college football world on fire, and completely flipped the script. Instead of reporting to spring training like a good minor leaguer, he declared for the NFL draft, where the Arizona Cardinals took him first overall in 2019. Think about that. He's the only human being in history to be a first-round pick in both the MLB and NFL drafts. Now, even though he chose the gridiron full-time, He's admitted in interviews that he still misses baseball. And honestly, watching his explosive speed and that insane hand-eye coordination under center, you can tell his ceiling on the diamond was just as high. Number 3 on our list is a name you associate with total, unadulterated football dominance. But long before he became the undisputed GOAT of the gridiron, he was a lethal left-handed hitting catcher. Say hello to a young Tom Brady. Back in 1995, Brady was a standout catcher at Junipero Sierra High School. He had legitimate power from the left side of the plate, great defensive instincts, and shocker, a phenomenal arm. MLB scouts were completely sold on him. In fact, the Montreal Expos were so high on his potential, they drafted him in the 18th round of the 95 draft. Now, I know 18th round, how is that completely sold on him? Listen to this. Scouts from that team have since came out and said they genuinely believe Brady had all-star potential as a major league catcher. And they tried to tempt him with real money, but Brady's heart was completely set on playing football for the Michigan Wolverines. He turned down the Expos, went to Michigan, got drafted 199th overall by the Patriots in 2000, and, well, we all know how the rest of that story turned out. But it's just crazy to think about. The Montreal Expos were just a few rounds of contract negotiations away from completely erasing the greatest dynasty in NFL history. Before we get to our top 2 absolute titans, we have to pause and shout out a few honorable mentions who almost broke the sporting matrix entirely. First up, Russell Wilson. Long before the Super Bowl ring, Russ was a highly touted second base prospect. The Baltimore Orioles drafted him out of high school in 2007. And later, the Colorado Rockies drafted him in the 4th round in 2010. He actually played 2 minor league seasons, hit 5 home runs, and looked pretty solid before deciding his true calling was under center. Next, how about John Elway? Before he was a Denver Broncos icon, John Elway was terrifyingly good outfielder. The Yankees drafted him in the 2nd round back in 1981, and Elway actually went out and tore up Class A ball. He hit .318. In fact, Elway famously used his baseball career as a massive leverage against the Baltimore Colts, basically telling them, if you don't trade me, I'm going to play for the Yankees full time. It worked. He got traded to Denver, and the rest is history. Talk about a power move. And finally, we're talking about a guy who threw a complete wrench into the system. Up to this point, it's just been MLB/NFL guys. But I wanted to throw this guy into the mix because he was too good to leave out. Danny Ainge. Now, you probably know him as an NBA champion with the Boston Celtics, but Ainge's draft history is completely nuts. While he was playing college basketball at BYU, he was also playing professional baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays drafted him in 1977. He actually made it to the big leagues, playing 3 seasons in the majors before switching to basketball full-time. But here's the kicker. Back in high school, Ainge was so dominant that he was named first-team All-American in football, basketball, and baseball. He's the only person in history to ever pull that off. That guy was quite literally a walking cheat code. All right, now we're entering the stratosphere of athletes who didn't just get drafted. They actually went out and dominated both sports at the exact same time. Number 2 is none other than Deion Primetime Sanders. Deion's athletic career wasn't just impressive, it was pure entertainment. The New York Yankees drafted him in the 30th round in 1988, and the Atlanta Falcons took him 5th overall in the 1989 NFL draft. Most human beings would have picked a lane. Deion just looked at both and said, "Yeah, I like those. I'll take both of them." In 1989, Primetime did something that still sounds fake. He hit a home run for the Yankees against the Mariners, and then just 5 days later, he scored a touchdown on a punt return for the Falcons. To this day, he is the only athlete in human history to hit an MLB home run and score an NFL touchdown in the same exact week. Oh, and if you need any more proof of his legendary status, he's also the only person to ever play in both the World Series and a Super Bowl. Deion just didn't play two sports. He brought an unmatched level of swagger and primetime energy to both surfaces. Honestly, there could only be one guy sitting at the top of this mountain. We're talking about a man who wasn't just a dual sport athlete. He was essentially a real-life superhero. Number one is Bo Jackson. Bo's draft saga is the stuff of pure legend. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted him 1st overall in 1986. But after a massive feud with their front office, Bo literally told them he'd never play a single down for them. Instead, he went and signed with the Kansas City Royals, who had drafted him in the 4th round. A year later, the Los Angeles Raiders decided to draft him in the 7th round, offering him what was essentially a part-time contract just to plug in and play football whenever baseball season ended. And what followed was the most jaw-dropping display of raw, unadulterated athleticism human eyes ever witnessed. Bo Jackson became an MLB All-Star in 1989, crushing massive 450-foot home runs, and then turned around to become an NFL Pro Bowler in 1990, running through world-class defensive lines like they were made of tissue paper. He remains the only athlete in history to be named an All-Star in both the MLB and NFL. Bo didn't just play two sports at a high level. He was arguably the most feared player on the field every single time he stepped out there. He was a force of nature, an absolute myth brought to life, and the undisputed king of dual draft legends. Well, this is officially the end of the video. Thank you guys for sticking around this long. Can you think of any other players that should have been on this list or that I forgot? Drop them in the comments below on your way out. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this so more people can watch it. Thank you guys. Have a good day. El Medio, Del Norte, JK Reacts signing out.